Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us today, this afternoon, for our webinar today. My name is Aaron Stone. I'm the Vice President of Exploration for the company. Also on the call with me today, Victor Cantori, the CEO and President. And we'd like to, obviously, to give you an update on this morning's news surrounding our first iteration of the mineral resource estimate on the Perron property located in Quebec, Canada. So I'll jump straight into the presentation here. Obviously, I'll be making some forward-looking statements. If anyone would like to read this full statement, it can be found on our website, in addition to our qualified person and third-party data statements also. So just to give a quick overview of the company for those that may be new to Amex Exploration or just need a refresher. So very tightly held capital share structure. 115 million shares issued, fully diluted 117 million. The four analysts that cover us are on the right-hand side of the screen here, and we are Eco-Logo certified, meaning we conduct exploration activities in an environmentally responsible way in Quebec. Our latest financing was closed back in January of this year, and we brought on a strategic partner, Eldorado Gold, for a 9.9% ownership. This has us fully financed through to the end of 2025, where we always have drills turning on site and are currently continuing with our active drill program until the end of next year. Currently drilled 60,000 meters already so far in 2024. Should end up at around roughly 80,000 for the end of the year, and planning on drilling the same amount in 2025 also. So by the end of 2025, we should be at a cumulative 600,000 meters of drilling since discovery of the high-grade zone in 2018. Here's the management and board of directors. As I mentioned, Victor Cantori is on the call with me today for any financing questions that you may have. I did forget to mention that we do have a Q&A session that we will conduct at the end of the presentation. So if you did have any questions, feel free to pop them into the Q&A box, which I believe is in the bottom right-hand corner, and we will get to answering those towards the end of the presentation. I also have Jonathan Garnier, our Vice President of Project Development, on the call as well, for anyone that may have some more engineering focused questions or anything regarding the PEA that is upcoming in the next couple of months. So as a reminder of the project location, which is very key for us here at the Perron Project with AMX, located right in the middle of the Abitibi, just 4 kilometers away from the Ontario border on the Quebec side. Easily accessible project, around a 7.5 to 8 hour drive from either Montreal or Toronto. We're located right in the town of Northwestern, which is a historic mining town, a VMS mine that ran from the 30s to the 70s. So we've got a great support from the community. A lot of people that live in the town work up the road at the Casa Berardi mine for Hecla, which is only 60 kilometers to the north of us as the bird flies. So they'd be very supportive of the project to have a new gold mine open right on their doorstep. A lot of other larger towns in the area as well, so great infrastructure in the local area. We have added in, due to recent M&A activity, we've added in Windfall with their 7.4 million ounces over to the east there, to give an idea of the location of that project in comparison to us. And I will be bringing up some similarities that we're starting to notice with our project and theirs further towards the end of the presentation. So as I mentioned, infrastructure is key for this project. As you can see here, the old tailings facility for the historic Northwestern mine. So this is a town that was built for mining. You can see our core shed in the background there, where we've built all our core storage facilities behind, and the access road leading to site, where you'll find all the drill rigs only 7 kilometers to the northwest of the town. Also, here is the electrical transformer station, which powers the Casa Berardi mine to the north. We are only located, the high-grade zone is only 4 kilometers from this high-voltage power line. So we have a great set of infrastructure in place, and this should really help out bring down the CapEx for the PEA in mid Q4 of this year. So just quickly over the geology map, and I've got a blown up version of this later on that I'll do some more annotations on. But as you can see here, the bulk majority of our ore bodies are located very close to one another in this eastern portion of the Beaupré block, where we've got the entire Normandale South block and volcanic complex remaining open for further exploration and further discoveries of not only gold, but the VMS potential is very high also, as well as the western portions of the Beaupré block, which remain open for further high-grade discoveries. So here is the results from our mineral resource estimate that we published this morning. As we can see here in the indicated and measured category, we've got almost 600,000 ounces at roughly 4.3 grams and a bit over 1 million ounces in the inferred category at 3.8 grams. If we look at the high grade zone specifically, which is at no surprise, the really carrying the bulk amount of value for us here at the Perron Project, we've got almost 350,000 ounces in the M&I category at a bit over 12 grams per ton, and a bit over 400,000 ounces in the inferred category at about 10.5 grams per ton. A really important thing to note out here in the grade at the high grade zone is that as we increase in confidence from inferred to indicated and then to measured, you'll notice that the grade increases with increased confidence. So that is to say that as we increase our drill spacing within the high grade zone, the grade only gets better and better. So this speaks volumes to the nature of the gold mineralization present in the high grade zone, how continuous it is, how homogeneous it is in nature, and into say that one day when this will be a mine, which we'll be looking to present in the PEA, that this will only get better as the more and more drilling that goes into it. So just a quick overlay of the land for people that may not have seen the site. If I spin the image back down in this direction, the town of Normantal is only 7 kilometers away. The track comes right into town here, and as you can see, all the roads are in great condition. We can drill all year round, winter, summer. There's no problems at all. Another important point to point out is that you'll see there's no major rivers or waterways, no large lakes, only a few little swampy areas. So this will be really favorable for a permitting standpoint. So just to point out the location of our zones quickly, the high grade zone obviously being the highlight for the Perron Project, located here in the middle of the Beaupré block with a orientation of roughly 80 degrees to the east-northeast, which I'll elaborate on a bit more as well, and our Gratien Zone all the way to the west, which if all the way to the west in Gratien to the team zone in the east, we're looking at a strike length of roughly 4 kilometers. If we look at the long section, you'll see that the high grade zone has been defined down to a depth of 1.3 kilometers with today's resources, and remains open at depth, as well as some areas of that remain to be tested at surface as well. And really all of the other zones across the property, so Gratien, Greycat, Team, Denise, have only really been tested down to much more shallower depths of roughly 300 to 350 meters vertically. So some earlier drilling in the year, we were starting to see some really nice high grade results that need to be followed up on, where we can continue to expand the known zones further to the west and further down at depth here also. So if we look at the shapes of the ore bodies at surface, and this is the outline of all the drilling that has been completed on the Perron property, we have just gone past the 500,000 meters drilled mark, literally only a couple of weeks ago. In today's resource, however, there's only 430,000 meters roughly of drilling that went into today's resource, meaning that there's already 70,000 meters of drilling that has not been included in today's iteration of the resource, meaning that since the drill database was cut off at the 30th of June for the resource, all the meters drilled up until then have not been included in today's iteration, as well as the resource was purely looking at gold. And as some people may know, we do have some VMS ore bodies on the site that have remained to be modeled up yet. So the copper-rich QF zone, which is a VMS ore body, still remains to be modeled up, and we will be looking at these base metals in more detail in the future, as well as there are some other copper and zinc values, as well as some silver within some other zones in the Beaupré block, such as the central polymetallic zone and Dono copper zone. So now taking a look at the mineralized envelopes that were included in today's resource. As you can see here, the high-grade zone has been defined down to a depth of 1.3 kilometers vertically. And as I mentioned, from the Gratien zone in the west of the team zone in the east, we're looking at over a 4-kilometer strike length. So if I zoom into the Eastern Gold Zone specifically, which is where the bulk majority of our zones are concentrated, you can see the high-grade zone hidden, tucked away behind the Denise Zone there. The Denise Zone, we were also able to model that down to some quite significant depths also. Obviously, in the Denise Zone, we have a lower grade than is in the high-grade zone, but given their proximity to one another, and if I zoom in here, you'll be able to see that proximity. We believe that we'll be able to, once you're down mining in that high-grade zone, you will be able to drift across and mine those lower grade ounces in the Denise Zone as well. So all of this information will obviously be elaborated upon in the PEA, which will be coming out mid Q4. If we focus really on the high-grade zone, which is really where the driving the value of this project with its grade well in excess of 10 grams a ton, you can see the geometry of the ore body is extremely favorable for mining. So it's dipping at roughly 89 degrees to the north, so essentially vertical. So for any mining engineer, this is a really great ore body to look at. That's really going to reduce your OPEX costs. If it was at a greater angle than that, that would really increase your OPEX costs. So we're really looking at favorable costs when it comes to that. The mineralization in the high grade zone, don't forget, also includes the internal dilution of the Gabbro dike that sits in the middle of the two high grade quartz veins that make up the high grade zone. So that dilution has been included within the grade of the high grade zone also. As you can see, not only do we have some areas to infill up at closer to surface here, where we will continue expanding the high grade zone in shallow depths, but also you can see the higher grade portions of the high grade zone remain open at depth here, and we're confident that this mineralization continues at depth. We're also starting to see that there is the high grade zone and Denise Zone are plunging towards one another. So this is another exciting exploration target for us, is to test the marriage of these two zones and see if there is another high grade pocket down at depth here. So the Gratien Zone, all the way in the very west, and the central polymetallic zone is on this slide as well. As I mentioned, we've recently started doing our first lot of deeper drilling on Gratien, and you can see that some of these ore bodies are starting to be stretched out down at depth. So the more we start to drill down at Gratien, the more we start to see additional resources being able to be expanded upon, not only at depth, but also to the west along the Perron fault here, which is a significant gold-bearing structure for us to date. We'll be looking to expand this ore body further to the west and at depth. Moving to the Grey Cat Gold Zone, which is directly to the northeast of Gratien, and a few mineralized envelopes that we were able to put together in the N110 corridor, which has only seen very limited sparse drilling as we speak. So we'll only continue to grow in size and stature. We've already seen some high grade shoot type mineralization there that we need to follow up on. We're currently also working on growing the Grey Cat mineralization in this area here, working on connecting these existing mineralized envelopes and also expanding mineralization down at depth. Moving along to the JT zone, which we've put in here as it is our newest discovery that was announced only in June of this year. So only due to the drill hole database cutoff at the 30th of June this year, roughly only 7 or 8 holes from the JT zone made it into this iteration of the mineral resource estimate. Since that date, we've at least tripled the amount of drilling on the JT zone here, which is looking like a lower grade, bulk tonnage target that will hopefully be able to add in a smaller pit at surface here. But even more potentially exciting than the gold mineralization is this zone is the implications of the felsic to intermediate dike that holds the gold mineralization in relation with its genesis, with the genesis of the gold mineralization within the entirety of the Beaupré block. And I'll talk a bit further about that on one of the later slides. So just a reminder of the metallurgy at the Perron Gold Project and in the high grade zone on this slide here. The metallurgy that was done back in 2020 on the high grade zone was nothing short of exceptional. Just via the gravity circuit, we returned over 75%, which after adding in the cyanide circuit, all results came out higher than 99%. So it really speaks to the nature of the gold mineralization. Here in the high grade zone, as you can see, the gold grains are large. They're not trapped within sulfides. There are sulfides within the quartz veins related to the gold mineralization, such as pyrite and sphalerite, but the gold is not trapped within those sulfides, so very easy to recover via the gravity circuit. This also skipped out the flotation process altogether, so a very simple build out for the mill. Those details will be coming out in the PEA in a couple of months as well, but we should see a very simple build out gravity cyanidization that brings down the capex cost for the build out of this future mine as well. And the balance of our metallurgy results that were released earlier this year on other zones of importance across the Perron Project, Gratien, Denise, and teams all also came back above 95% gold recovery. So I did just want to annotate a bit more on this slide to show the exploration upside and the blue sky potential that still exists for us across the balance of the Perron property. The things to focus on today's resource are the quality of the ounces, in specific the high grade zone. There are not too many gold deposits around the world that do have grades greater than 10 grams per ton. So the fact that we have that here and the high grade zone, along with all the other zones on the property, remain open for expansion. This first iteration of the mineral resource estimate will only grow in time as we continue to drill on this deposit. One of the exciting things that we've been working on over the last couple of months since the discovery of the JT zone is that you will notice the orientation of the JT zone, the dike that we found within the JT zone is at a east-northeast orientation, roughly 80 degrees. And if we're to trace this throughout the rest of the Beaupré block, that orientation lines up perfectly with the Alizé zone, the Gratien zone, and the Gratien zone. We're starting to think that there may not be a coincidence for that, and that exact same orientation is shared by the high grade zone, which also follows the east-northeast orientation at 80 degrees, which if you draw a line here follows directly joins Denise and connects with the team zone as well. So these felsic to intermediate intrusions we're starting to believe could be a very important factor for us for finding other high grade ore bodies within the western portions of the Beaupré block over here in the N110 zone and further to the west, where we still have very limited sparse drilling. So we're currently looking for more of these felsic to intermediate intrusions that came up through the volcanic complex into the rhyolitic dome of the Beaupré block. And we think these could start to unlock some real structural secrets for us about finding additional high-grade zones across the rest of the property. If this turns out to be true about the felsic intrusion, which we still need to do geochronology work on, and we have sent them thin sections off to the lab to get their ages and so forth. It could have implications for the gold emplacement on the Perron property, in that this would be a magmatic style of gold emplacement, similar to what Goldfields now has at the Windfall deposit further to the east of us, in that there is an intrusion-related gold deposit. So we're working on this new geological theory as we speak. So just some of the corporate objectives for the remainder of the year and moving into 2025, with the large one obviously being the PEA that we are still on track for to release in mid Q4 of this year. And really, I think this speaks volumes for the resource that we're releasing today, the fact that we're moving forward so quickly with the PEA to wrap the economics around this resource really highlights what we think is going to be a economic mine site to come in the future. So really excited to be working on that over the next couple of months and highlight the economics of this project this year, and then after that continue to grow it in size and stature as we move forward. So thanks very much for tuning in, everyone. We'll look over to the Q&A to see if we have any questions that have come in here. So I've got how open is the high grade zone for expansion? Yeah, so great question. I'll go back to the high grade zone slide here. So as I was mentioning before, the high grade zone remains open for expansion, not obviously only at depth in this area here, but also some shallower portions that need to be infill drilled in these areas here. So our latest press release on the high grade zone did actually contain a drill hole in this area right here that had some nice high grade mineralization in it as well. So we're starting to see that there remains to be some required drilling that needs to be done closer to surface on the high grade zone also. So I'm excited to test this portion up here. As you can see, this high grade mineralization is trending in this direction here. And then there's a secondary trend of high grade mineralization here. And I'm hoping to drill these areas in here to see if there's an extension of this high grade mineralization vectoring towards surface.
So you have the other. One of the other questions here, if you want, it's from the same person, is why did the resource fall short of management's ideas and analyst statements? I mean, I'll let you answer it. Mostly the main reasons that we're really sticking with quality ounces, high grade, and ounces that'll be profitable. And I'll leave that to you, Aaron.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, the high grade zone is obviously the focus here, and these are some extremely high grade and really what we expect to be really profitable ounces moving forward into the PEA. Some of the other zones, such as the Team Zone and the Denise Zone, there are certainly some structural complexities surrounding those zones that we've already begun to do some further work on site, such as drilling more orientated core, gathering more televiewer data. We've recently got a hyperspectral gun delivered onto site, which will help us track the alteration packages that exist within and surrounding our known ore bodies. That will not only help us for infill drilling in our known bodies, but be able to help us with that data to expand them also. So a lot of important work has begun already on site to be able to understand some of these further structural complexities in some of these less well understood zones, because the jewel of this project being the high grade zone, luckily for us, it is extremely geologically and structurally simple as well. As you can see here, very continuous, dipping almost vertically, whereas in some of the other zones, there are some stockwork systems going on, stuff like that. So we do need to still continue to increase our understanding structurally on some of the other zones, which I'm confident we'll do. And when we unlock those further ideas, we'll be able to continue to grow those additional resources in other zones.
Okay, and there's another question that talks about, they want to know how many drills are still on site.
Yeah, so we still have 3 drill rigs currently spinning on site. So we never stopped drilling at Perron. We've since discovery of the high grade zone in 2018. It's been drill, and we'll fully finance to continue drilling until the end of 2025 also. So we'll add another roughly 20,000 meters up until the end of this year, and moving into 2025, we'll on track to drill another 60 to 80,000 meters for next year also.
Okay, and we'll continue going. We'll try to get all the as much as possible, all the questions. Some of them are duplicates, so I won't. So one of the questions is how come the total ounces differ completely from sorry, let me grab this one. Will the PA include drill results from after the 30th of June or solely include ounces from this MRE? So so the PA we're scheduled to put out the PA in the next quarter. We're going to try to do it as fast as possible, probably within, probably within 60 days or so. I mean, one of the targets of the PA is to actually show that this project could have I mean, what we're trying to target is that it's going to have a high NPV, have a high IRR with a low capex, and the ounces that will include will be only the ounces that are here in this MRE, and it's really quality ounces what we've kept inside this MRE. It's really high grade quality ounces. Unless you have more to add, Aaron.
No, that's exactly right. The drilling that we're completing since the drill hole database cutoff on June 30th up until now, that won't be included in the PEA either. So a lot of drilling as we move forward into the future will only add to the ounces here at Perron, and we'll obviously definitely look at completing updated iterations as we move forward with the future. So that's a really important thing to continue to stress here. That this is really only the base case for us here at Perron, the first iteration of this resource, and we'll continue to work really hard at site to continue to grow this resource as we move forward.
Yeah, so one of the questions, I think it almost touches the same thing, because they want to know why, how come the total ounces differ from the communications or what the analysts have said. Look, we're really staying, again, the same thing. We're going to reiterate that we're going to be staying with high quality ounces, and that's why we are going to put out a PA as fast as possible, because we want to show the economics of the project. It's not it's not going to be a low grade deposit with a large capex. That's why we're going to be sticking with this, and we're going to continue to grow it. This is just a snapshot of how high grade this project is, and like Aaron said, we're just going to continue growing. We're just going to continue growing this. That's why we have 3 drills on, and we'll see next year if we're going to continue with 3 drills or increase the drills. Our cash balance, which I'm sure some people will want to know. If you look at our last financials between the cash on hand and receivables, we're about $20 million or so, just slightly over $20 million. So we're very healthy on the cash side.
I see a question here. Will you do more video conferences like this where you discuss and draw on the actual geology? Absolutely. We'll be at a lot of conferences for the remainder of this year, and we'll keep doing interviews online as well, where we continue to talk about the geology and explain everything here on site. And one thing that I'm personally really excited about is the discovery of these felsic intrusions in the JT zone and what they may potentially mean for the gold emplacement within the rest of the Beaupré block. So as we continue to develop these geological theories and ideas and get more studies and information back, we'll definitely be communicating that as frequently as possible.
So, and another question is the strip ratio. I mean, the strip ratio is not something that we have at this moment. Again, I'm not a mining engineer. It will come out. You will have a strip ratio with the PA, but since most of it will be an underground portion of it, I can't see the strip ratio being high. I think it's going to be very favorable, but again, that's a forward-looking statement, so I'll leave it to the PA. The PA is going to be out within 60 days. Again, the stripping ratio should be favorable, because we're really striving for strong economics. Another question is it fair to say that the market has overreacted today? I believe so. The market has severely overreacted. We still have 1,638,000 ounces. I mean, that is quite a lot of ounces when you look at the market, what the market is paying for it. When you look at some of the recent transactions for high grade deposits, and as gold keeps going higher, it's really the high grade deposits that are going to be the first that are going to be looked at. And now when you're looking at them, whether it's going to be a takeout or develop, those are going to be the first ones that are going to be developed and move forward. And again, this is just a snapshot as of June 30th, modeling this as a high grade mine.
So sorry, Victor, would you?
Yeah.
So someone's asking here, how much expansion potential is there, and how is the feeder theory progressing? So I think I mentioned before that at depth, we're starting to see the Denise Zone and high grade zone starting to plunge in towards one another. So that's definitely one of the high grade feeder zones, if you'd call it, that we're looking to target to see if there's an extremely high grade pocket down at depth there. In terms of expansion potential across the balance of the property, the expansion potential is really large for us. Not only are all the known zones remain open for expansion along strike and at depth, and as I mentioned, really the only zone that has been looked at in any sort of serious vertical depth is the high grade zone down to a depth of 1.3 kilometers now. All of the main other zones have only been drilled vertically to roughly 350 meters vertically. So we definitely want to start having a look at their deeper portions of mineralization in those other zones. In addition to that, we have multiple exploration targets to test, not only in the western portions of this of the Beaupré block, where, as I said, we're starting to look for more of these felsic intrusions that may be intruding from the volcanic complex into the Beaupré block. That when they did come up into the Beaupré block, the rhyolite busted it all apart, created those structures that then the hydrothermal fluids were able to follow those structures and control the gold emplacement. So we're looking for more of those orientations in the western portion of the Beaupré block. Not only that, but we have multiple gold and VMS targets in this Normantal volcanic complex to the north. So we do have some significant VMS targets over in this area here, as well as additional VMS and gold targets in this entire Normantal South block, which is a mafic volcanic that has barely been tested at all with any exploration work so far. So typically a lot of the orogenic gold systems in the Abitibi are found in the mafic volcanics rather than the felsic volcanics, which is what the Beaupré block is. So none of these andesites have been looked at in the Normantal South block, mafic volcanic. So we've currently been doing some surface mapping and geochemistry programs at surface down here, and have a number of exciting targets to go after down there also.
Okay, there was a question of have the high grades been capped? Absolutely, they have been, absolutely they have been capped. Yes, it's normal practice, and between capping and then when it's real, I can talk about other projects where there has been capping, and then when they've done bulk samples and they're actually when they've done bulk samples, the grades have actually come in. So some of them as high as 50% higher, and some of them even higher than that. But it's normal practice that you do have to cap the high grades. I have a couple more questions. There's one that says, has your strategic investor Eldorado Gold provided and feedback over or any reaction to the MRE? They are in our data room. They do have an NDA. I do speak to Eldorado on a regular basis, and for them this is what was expected. From there's no, let me put it this way, there's no surprises for them. They've modeled this. They're definitely happy with this, but I'll leave that to them. I'll leave that to them eventually. But there's no surprises here for them. And if you're modeling this in a high grade scenario where you'll get the most value for it, that's basically there's no surprises there. One other question is how much of the property has been generally explored? So I'll leave that to you, but it's not much. There's what, about 20 some odd kilometers of faults that are prolific with gold, and we've probably explored about 4 kilometers of that.
Yeah, that's right, Victor. If you were to add up the strike length of the Normantal fault to the north and the Perron fault to the south, which cuts off the rhyolite that is the Beaupré block, you'd be looking at roughly 20 kilometers worth, and we've probably explored maybe 4 to 5 kilometers worth of these gold bearing structures so far. So as I mentioned before, the Gratien Zone remains open to the west along the balance of the Perron fault in this area. and we are looking for additional discoveries along the remainder of the Normantal Fault to the north here. Not only for further gold discoveries, but also further VMS discoveries, which is the QF zone number 11 here, which it's important to reiterate that isn't included in today's resource. None of the VMS mineralization was captured in today's resource. So we didn't want to put any gold equivalent numbers in or anything like that. This is a pure gold number. We haven't even looked at any of the silver credits that may exist across some of the ore bodies on site. And definitely some of the base metals need to be looked at further in more detail in the future also.
Okay, so one question is really interesting, and I can just refer this to another project. They want to know. So, given the need for underground mining, I interpret that a big part need to be mined underground. What reference projects do you have for an underground mine with this relatively small resource? What was the capex for that project? So one of the projects that you could go look at in 2017, Integra put out a PEA for their project in for their Lamaque project, which was later bought by Eldorado. So if you Google that, you'll be able to find it. In their mining scenario, they had 1.2, I believe they had 1.2 or 1.3 million ounces. I believe around close to 7 grams per ton. And as they're mining it, they just continue finding more and more resource. So I'll refer to that, because that's exactly what you're asking me is can you reference projects? That's one of them that I know. That's one of them that I know very well.
Victor, just notice that your camera's off as well. If you wanted to turn your camera back on.
Sure, no problem.
And we have a very close geological relationship with the team at Eldorado as well. They've conducted a number of site visits also, and have recently had their structural expert up on site for a site visit. And so if the rest of the team shares his enthusiasm, I'm really excited for the relationship moving forward. There's still a lot more to unlock at the Perron project here, and I'm excited to be working on unlocking those future ounces.
So one of the questions also is what is the permitting like? What is the permitting like in the region? So you gotta think that there was a past producing mine 4 kilometers away from us. It was a VMS mine. In the same region, 60 kilometers north of us, you have the Casa Berardi mine. So I'm just referencing those when you're asking about permitting. I can only reference you other projects that are permitted and in production or past producing mine. You'll have to go through the same permitting like any you'll have to follow all the rules and regulations of all the permitting, but it's something that can be permitted.
I think it's important to note as well that the historic Normantal mine, which was mined from roughly the 30s to the 70s, was mined down to a depth of 2.4 kilometers. So even though that was a VMS mine, we know that these mineralized systems in the immediate area have extremely deep roots. So as we continue to drill the high grade zone further deeper down at depth, we're confident it'll continue and hopefully continue to improve in grade also as we get deeper down.
Great. One question here, and I have to. So they want to know the size of the annual production expected in the PA. Unfortunately, I won't be able to answer that question. It will be out in 60 days. So you'll be able to get a much better you'll be able to get a much better understanding as it comes on. Unfortunately, with regulations, I wouldn't be able to give you that. It would definitely be a forward-looking statement. The same person also asked this. Why is the president not on this call? I am on the call just in case maybe because my camera was off. So
I think because your camera was off.
Maybe, yeah. How is the relationship with the First Nations in the area? It's very good. We keep in contact, not only the First Nations, but also the community. We participate in many events. Just to give you an example, so our relationship with the First Nations is very good. We consult with them all the time. All our drilling permits, we never had any issues getting any sort of permits. We always have to go through them first, and that's what we've done. Also, on the community side, like, so for example, I believe, Aaron, you were there for that. I know you were there, and I think Jonathan also was there. Jonathan Gagne. It was the opening of a park, so they needed sponsors to build this new park in the area. We participated. We got all our suppliers to participate, and I think that's really important. Is to continue doing that with the community. At the end of the day, you're going to be building this mine for the community, and I think that answers another question to talk about community engagement. It's very we're very cognizant of how important that is, and we've been doing community engagement since almost the beginning of the project, since the main discovery in 2019. We're regularly up there. Management is regularly up there. We talk to the municipality all the time, and that's what we just continue advancing. And so again, there's other about community engagement, social acceptability. Those are all great questions, and I think I've answered it with that, telling you that we do engage. We do engage with the community, and the community, First Nations, anybody that's involved in the area. We do get involved with them.
Yeah, and our project manager on site regularly meets with the town council, keeps them very involved and updated on the project. So they're extremely supportive of us and our activities in the town and on the drill site. It is a mining friendly town. A lot of the people that live in the town actually work up the road for Heckler at the Casa Berardi mine. So they'd much rather than having to drive an hour up the road, they'd much rather have a mine site right on their doorstep. So they're extremely supportive of us and extremely supportive of the project.
Yeah, another question is how, I know it's related to Eldorado again, is how is working with your partner Eldorado going? It's going really great. I'll have Aaron answer the latter part of it, because he's in the technical committee. I've assisted some of the meetings of the technical committee, so it's basically derived of five members. There's two from Eldorado, there's two from our side, and we chair and we provide the chairperson for that. It's strictly technical people. So I'll let you describe it, because I know it's been extremely positive. I talk mostly with the VP corporate development over at Eldorado, and we do report back and forth about how great that the technical committees are working together. So Aaron,
Yeah,
how's your experience? You're actually in those meetings.
Yeah, for me, it's been extremely profitable personally, working alongside Eldorado with the technical committee. They've obviously, as a much larger company than ourselves, they've obviously got a lot of expertise, right? So I certainly appreciate the help whenever we can get it. That they do, provide us with their structural experts, geochemical experts, technological experts with any AI or machine learning that technologies that may be out there, which we have been working a lot with as well. We've built a machine learning model a 3D machine learning model that we've been using to help us with our targeting. We're currently building a new AI model as well, that's still in the works. So yeah, it's been really great working with them. I'm certainly, they have a lot of technical experience in mining these really high grade narrow systems. So it's really great to have their expertise. I've personally been learning a lot from them structurally, geochemically, and on the technical side. So it's really been great so far working with them, and I think we'll continue to unlock value in this project side by side.
Yeah. So one good question is any gold resources from the polymetallic zone included? So I'll let you answer that. I mean, we've put none of that in there, including any silver credits or anything like that.
That's right. We haven't. There are some zones that you'll see on the geology map here that are blue rather than yellow. That means they do have a volcanogenic flavor to them, with the ones within the Beaupré block. So the central polymetallic zone, which is number 9 in the middle here, as well as the Donna copper zone, does have some copper gold values in it at depth in the high grade zone. the central polymetallic zone does have some quite decent gold values in it as well, but is more of a VMS system. So none of those copper or zinc values have been put in today's resource. And then the QF zone in the Normantal volcanic complex, which is located in the exact same package of rocks, actually called the Normantal Mine Horizon, which is found 4 kilometers directly to the southeast of the QF zone in the exact same package of rocks. None of that copper, zinc / silver mineralization has been included in today's resource. So as we continue to grow the project moving forward, we'll not only continue to grow the gold zones, but we'll continue to grow the base metal zones as well.
Yeah, and so one of the staying with the silver, one of the questions is, so at this time, how strongly do you believe the silver credits should be economic? So most of the silver that's most of the silver that's been in the high grade zone, the high grade zone had a recovery of 99% of all the precious metals in there, well, gold and silver. So it is economic as you pull it out. It's just they're just going to be those are just going to be credits that those are just going to be credits that come in. Are you seeing more interest from institutional investors? Yes, absolutely. The majority of all the investments that have come in since 2022, our financings were generally mostly, I could say as high as 95% or even 98% came in from institutional investors. So yes, there has been a growing interest from institutional investors.
There's a question here. Is it true that you stopped reporting all drill results for some reason? Absolutely not. We'll never try to hide drill results or anything like that. We're under no presumptions that every drill hole we do is a knockout of the ballpark. So if you go back through all the tables in our previous drill results, yeah, you'll find in the tables at the bottom of all our press releases, not everyone contains super high grade gold in it. So there are some that have lower grades in them, but always every drill hole always unlocks more information for us, so they're never a waste. So no, we certainly publish all drill holes.
I think it pretty much.
Could you expand on the constraints applied to the MRE? Yep. So not only that's a great question, because it is important to point out the difference between constrained resources and unconstrained resources. If we were to talk about an unconstrained resource, that means that the resources that we would have been presenting would not have been constrained within pit shells and within underground stopes. So all of today's ounces presented are either within mineable open pit shapes or within underground stope shapes, meaning that they have there's a certain term, proper reasonable extraction potential, something along those lines. I forget the exact term, but yes. So the number has been constrained to be as realistic as possible. As we were talking about before, every zone has been capped, and there is obviously that cutoff grade as well. So all of those resources fall within above cutoff and below capping. So this is a very realistic resource. Like when Victor and I were speaking in an interview before, we're not arm waving here, nothing like that. This is a very realistic resource.
What decides when to... Yeah, so one of the questions I know they're going to want to know, when and if, here it says, what decides when a revised or second resource is released if you reach a certain number of meters or additional ounces? So the next milestone is going to be, within 45 to 60 days. It's going to be the PEA, and we're going to continue looking at the ounces. When we have, a material change, we will definitely update it. So it's tough to put out a timing or whatever, but we'll try to do it as soon and as fast as possible. As soon as there's any material change in the ounces and in the economics, we will definitely update it.
Someone's asking, what is the drill density difference between measured and indicated? That information is definitely in the press release. I think in the notes further towards the bottom, we gave the spacing that determines measured, indicated, and inferred. So you'll be able to find that in there. But it's an important reminder to, as we increase confidence, as increased drill spacing from inferred to indicated to measured resources in the high grade zone and the other zones across the property, the grade is continuing to get better. So we're confident the more infill we do, the better the project will become. Today's dump seems like a good time for insiders to buy some shares on the open market. I think Victor,
I would love to buy shares on the open market. We're definitely going to see we're going to talk to our legal team if we can, because we're still in the blackout because we have a PA that's coming out pretty quickly. So I'm not too sure that us insiders will be able to do it post PA. Absolutely. 24 hours after that the PA is released, I will be buying shares.
Someone said, is the royalty spin out still a possibility?
Yeah, that's something internal. I mean, we'll definitely come back to that. Those are going to be things for post PA. I think we've covered pretty much all of them. If we've missed any of them, please send us an email and we'll definitely try to answer your questions.
100%. Right. If like Victor was saying, if there's any more questions, feel free to contact us via phone or via email. We'd be happy to answer any further questions. And thanks very much, everyone, for joining the webinar today. And we look forward to continue to provide future updates to the market with the drills continuing to turn on the Perron project, and as we push towards our PEA for the end of the year, mid Q4.
Yeah. Look, as president and CEO of the company, I'm proud of the work that was put around it, along with the strong numbers that this resource provides, and this resource should provide a really good PA. So I really look forward to providing good returns for everybody as we continue moving this project forward. And I thank you everybody for attending and asking all very good questions today.